Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to the Czech Republic for the first time in quite a wee while actually. So I was over there recently doing a little bit of teaching in Olomouc, and while I was over there of course I did manage to bring back a load of kind of craft beers, as I always like to do when I visit new countries. So you will be seeing these reviewed on the channel over the next little while. But for the first one we are going to head to Pilzen, which is in the western part of the country in Bohemia, which is of course, you know, famous for being home to Pilsner Urquell, the first ever Pilsner beer, which is obviously a very, very popular style. But we're going to have a look at a beer from one of the little microbreweries over there. So for this one we're going to go to Pivovar Raven, and we're having a taste of their Gunslinger IPA. So this guy comes in at 6.4%, and you know, it should be a really quite nice beer. It was rated well into the 90s on Rate Beer when I checked out earlier, and I think it was somewhere around the 3.8, 3.9 that it had on Untappd when I checked out as well. But this is one of the breweries in Czech Republic that are brewing the American style beers, and they are very highly rated. If you go into most of the kind of specialist beer shops over there, you will find some of these Pivovar Raven beers. So really looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Pivovar Raven. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Czech beers that I've reviewed for you, and that will be added to quite intensively over the next little while. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Pivovar Raven then, on to my brewery notes. So as I mentioned to you, Pivovar Raven are based in Pilzen, and they were founded back in 2015. So the two men behind the brewery are Philip Miller and Ladislav Virtus. So Philip is originally from Sydney in Australia, and he'd been a home brewer for a number of years. He was saying that his home brewing geekiness, if you like, dates back well into the 1990s, but apparently one day he just bought a ticket to go and visit Czech Republic, and he found himself in Bohemia, and he just never left. Going by what he was saying, he moved over to the Czech Republic sometime around 2005, 2006, but he likes to go around apparently, from what it was saying on the website, he likes to go around and rate different beers on Rate Beer, and he apparently holds the Czech record of having reviewed around 8,000 or so different beers, so that is pretty damn impressive. But he's the main brewer for the brewery, and he does a lot of recipe development and things as well, which is you know, it's still cool that one of the main men behind the brewery is still quite involved in the brewing. But Ladislav, on the other hand, he looks after the business side of the brewery and does things with quality control. But they also have another brewer who's called Petr Vajnilovsky, and he also comes from a home brewing background. I think he does some home brewing as well, and I think quite a few of the recipes that they have at Pivovar Raven have been developed by him too. So they've got two quite you know, it's cool to see that it's two home brewers that are kind of running this brewery, because that's when you always get some interesting things. But at the brewery complex they do have a tap room where you can go and visit, and I think it's open pretty much just as a kind of regular bar. But this is in the Mozart area in the northern part of Pilzen, and there's a tram stop right outside it, so it is quite easy for you to get home if you find yourself a little bit drunk over there. But the name of the brewery apparently comes from the nearby mountain which overlooks Pilzen. So in Czech this is Krkavec, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I do apologise if I'm not, but this translates into English as Raven, hence why they've called themselves Pivovar Raven. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery for this one. This beer is actually kind of a collaboration beer. So it was brewed with a guy called Kim Johansson, who won he's won the Danish homebrewing things quite a few times, and this particular beer won one of the festivals. I think it was back in 2016 that this one was first introduced, and the beer had actually won in the category of Best IPA that year. So this one is actually a Danish homebrew, a Danish homebrewing champion, if you like, this beer, which is quite funny, you know, brewed over in the Czech Republic. But yeah, the hops in this one are Citra, Amarillo and Polaris, and yeah, so it is kind of a collaboration brew. I think Kim Johansson has kind of set up his own company there. You can see that on the back, and there is the Pivovar Raven symbol there as well. It does say on the side here, when 5-time Danish homebrewing gold medal winner Kim Johansson, KJ Brewing, comes for a visit to brew his award-winning Gunslinger IPA recipe, you know your stock of hops will take a beating. Bursting with Citra and Amarillo, Gunslinger takes no prisoners. So yeah, there you can see Pivovar Raven on the bottle cap on this one, and you know the label of that one is kind of pretty cool as well. The beers all had a fairly similar label when I saw the Raven ones, but this was one that just kind of caught my eye. I quite liked the name. It was an IPA, and I thought, you know, kind of why not with this one. So yeah, I'm not sure if this one does have Polaris in it, because you know, because when I was talking to Philip a little bit, he said that it does have Polaris, but it does say on the side here that it just has Citra and Amarillo, so I'm not quite sure about that. Like I say, it's a 6.4% IPA. I did a little bit of research about Polaris because I'd heard of that hop once or twice, but I didn't know too much about it. It's a German hop from one of the research institutes in Hull, and it's supposed to give you kind of pineapple, menthol and mint aromas, so we should be able to tell from the aroma if there's a little bit of that in there. But without further ado, let's get this guy out then and we'll get on with the taste. And really looking forward to this beer. So yeah, nice little bit of a smoky opening there, and we'll get it out and into the glass. So yeah, I'm just a little bit wary with these beers because, like I say, I put them in my case and brought them all back, but it does look as if it is going to behave itself. Some of the beers, if you bring them back in the plane, some of them can explode on you, but yeah, this one looks as if it is going to be fairly well behaved. But as you can see, that's poured a nice kind of bright goldeny yellow colour. You can definitely smell some of the orangey notes coming off this beer, and some of the mango notes as well. That with the Amarillo and Citra, you can really smell those just as you open the beer up. But you can see there's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say, it's got a very slight kind of creamy colour to the head, that one. It's almost perfect white, but just a little slight kind of creamy tinge to it. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall, it does look pretty nice, and you know, pretty much as you would expect an IPA to look. So yeah, I put my fingers behind the glass, and you can see there is a good little bit of hazy quality to that one. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then, and just see how we get on. Ooh, yeah. That does smell pretty nice. I do wonder if it's US-05 yeast that they've used in that one, actually. Because it does, you know, the US-05 yeast, I always love that because it is a little bit of a nostalgic kind of thing to go back to, because so many of the old school beers, when I started drinking craft beer, there was a lot of breweries still using that US-05 yeast, and as a result of that, it's become quite a popular home brewing yeast, and I am wondering if from the aroma that's what they've used in this one. But yeah, definitely with this beer, you've got a nice little bit of that kind of white bready malt base to it. There's a little bit, I think, of a kind of biscuity sweetness. Maybe, yeah, it's not quite caramel, it's not quite kind of strong enough on the brown sugary notes to be caramel. But in terms of the kind of sweetness, I would say, yeah, it's more of a biscuity. It's not quite kind of corn syrup, if you like, but it reminds me of the kind of McVitie's digestives that we like to eat over here. That's the kind of sweetness that you're getting out of the malt base on this one. But yeah, when you sugar the beer up, you do get a little bit of a kind of floral aromaticity out of it. It's got a little bit of spicy floral character. Definitely some kind of grassy notes in there as well. But on the fruity side of things, definitely a little bit of mango, which will be coming from the Citra. I think there's a wee bit of a kind of gooseberry lychee sort of thing as well, but there's definitely oranges from the Amarillo as well. Amarillo gives you a really distinctive orangey note, and that's coming out of this beer in spades, to be honest. But yeah, I'm not sure if there is Polaris in this one. I'm not picking up any of the sort of minty menthol things that you're supposed to get with Polaris. There maybe is a little bit of pineapple right enough, but you know, in fairness, that can sometimes come out of the Citra. It depends what it's mixed with. So I'm not sure about that, actually. You know, if you're taking a sniff of it, there could be a little bit of menthol in there, but it's not jumping out at me, to be honest. The main components of the aroma, I think, it's definitely mangoes, a little bit of pineapple, like I'm saying, the oranges, and there's a little bit, you know, the typical floral, kind of grassy sort of things. But the yeasty quality and the malt base in this one, that white bready yeast, a little bit of biscuity sweetness as well, that is coming out of this beer quite nicely. It smells, you know, like a very kind of straight up IPA, this one. So I think this is going to be one of these ones that's kind of like sort of simple in its concept, if you like, but it's going to be just, you know, really quite well done. And I do like beers that that do that, because it does take you back a few years to what you used to drink. So yeah, let's have a taste of this beer then and just see how we get on. So this one's the Gunslinger IPA from Pivovar Raven in Pilzen in Bohemia in the Czech Republic. Also kind of a collaboration with KJ Brewing, Kim Johansson of course, from Denmark. Let's get stuck into this one. Slanja, skål. Yeah. So, I should say with this one then, it kind of is how I expected it to be. It is one of these beers that I go back and think, you know, if I drank this beer around, you know, kind of 2010, 2011, it would have been kind of one of these ones that would blow your head off, if you like. It's got that nice kind of, it's got that kind of nostalgic thing. I do reckon that it's US-05 yeast that's been used in this one. I might be wrong, but if I'm wrong, I think it's something that's very similar to that. But yeah, it's a nice beer, that. Again, it's one of these ones that's quite simple in its concept, but it just comes across very, very nicely. So yeah, as you would expect with this one then, you can feel that nice white bready character, that just blankets the middle of your palate there, and on top of that there's a little bit of a kind of graininess starts to push its way out as you move further and further into the flavour, but right in the middle of your palate there's a nice kind of sort of biscuity sweetness to it, and that comes out more and more as you progress further and further into the aftertaste. But in the back corners of the palate, I would say there's a little touch of earthiness there, and as you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, you can feel there's a little bit of that kind of nice, quite spicy floral aromaticity that you'll get both from the Citra and the Amarillo. There is almost a little bit of that kind of menthol minty quality to this one. So I do, I'm wondering if there is a bit of that Polaris in here with this one. You know, you can pick that up a little bit. This beer, it just has almost that little bit of kind of minty menthol freshness to it, which is quite interesting. Yeah, now I do think there is some Polaris in that, you know, and Philip didn't have any reason to tell me that hop was in it when it isn't, of course. But then round the very front curve of the palate, you get a little bit of that lighter kind of grassy note to the beer, but that sort of minty menthol kind of thing is spreading around the front curve of the palate, which is really quite interesting. Just behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that little oily bubble where all the nice kind of juicy, fruity side of things will start to come out of the beer. That's nice. Have a go with this beer if you get the chance. It is one, like I say, if you think back to what you would have eaten, or you would have drank rather, back in 2012 or something like that, this would be one of the beers that would really kind of blow your mind at the time. I always like trying beers like this, that you would think, you know, that they are a little, this beer for me is a little bit like a nostalgia beer. I really like what they've done with this. But yeah, behind the front curve of the palate then, it feels like there's a little bit of a grapefruity quality just kind of underpinning this beer. On top of that, you get the mangoes and the pineapple, but then as you go a little bit further into it, it's the oranges from the Amarillo that are coming out. And that sort of minty menthol flavour is kind of just lingering there on the front of the palate, but the grapefruit is kind of sitting there too, which is quite interesting. Sometimes you get a bit of grapefruit from the Citra, but other times, depending on, as I say, what it's mixed with, you can get a little bit. You can get it leaning a bit more towards the kind of juicy mango side of things. But overall, it is a really nice beer, this one. But yeah, it's a nicely done beer, this. I like what it's going for. So a big thumbs up to the guys at Pivovar Raven for this one, and to Kim Johansson, of course, for developing this beer. I think that is a really quite nice one. As I say, it takes me back to about 2012 or something like that. It's just, it's really quite nicely done. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel of this one then, I would say mid-bodied. Carbonation does have a little bit of crispness to it, this one, but it is kind of smooth. It does have that smoothness that you expect a Czech beer, to be honest with you. I would say it has a little bit of an oily quality, but the mouthfeel overall is quite smooth. It does have that kind of Czech, sort of German type smoothness to it. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness to this one. It does feel a little bit kind of fresh. The hoppy, that Polaris hop, I'm pretty sure it is in there, to be honest. But the Polaris hop on this one really is giving it this kind of quite unusual sort of minty menthol fresh kind of thing, and I do like how that kind of comes across. It makes this beer a little bit distinct, if you like. But a good bit of juicy fruit in there. The malt base is mainly smooth, but it does have a little bit of sweetness. And in terms of IBUs, I think this one is a little bit more bitter. And I think, you know, this, I'm not sure if you like, but I think this one's up around the sort of 70 mark when it comes to the IBUs. But a really nicely done beer, this one, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So as I say, thumbs up to Kim Johansson and to the guys at Pivovar Raven. And you know, if the Czechs can brew IPAs like this, then I think it's a good sign for you know, craft beer coming out of the Czech Republic. So yeah, it's been really cool to kind of kick off this Czech mini-series with this beer. So I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on this one. As always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Pivovar Raven. Do let me know if you've had any other encounters with KJ Brewing from Denmark, of course, as well. But as always, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff, and I will catch you guys very soon with more beer reviews. So this one was the Gunslinger IPA from Pivovar Raven in Pilzen in Bohemia in the Czech Republic. Until the next time, na zdraví, and I will catch you guys very soon. Skål, cheers, sláinte.